Let's get it going.
Happy Monday, everybody.
Happy Monday.
Welcome to the Circle Show, Jesse Zagorsky.
David Turbo. Good morning, Monday morning.
We got big announcements. We have so many big announcements. But first and foremost, Jesse Zagorsky, broker owner, REO God, Club Wealth faculty, has joined Exp. He's coming.
He's out. He's part of EXP. It's true.
I love that we talked about doing He's Coming Out. We're a couple of theater geeks. We're a couple of musicians, a couple of thespians, and we decided that we were going to go with I'm Coming Out for the beginning of the show. And then you wrote me this morning, said, I really feel like we need to do the Trolls version.
I didn't know if you knew that already. That's the version I wanted. Like, if you're going to have little kids and you're going to know any version of that song, Trolls is by far the best version of He's Coming Out.
A couple of dads on a Monday morning getting started with Trolls. It really couldn't get much better than this. Feels good. Real good. Jesse Zagorsky, one of the top podcasts that I've ever had of It's About More Than Real Estate, of the 20 episodes that we've released. Thank you so much for joining us. North County agent, broker owner, made the move to EXP. And of course, we're going to talk about EXP later. But right now, we're going to talk about some other cool stuff.
Let's do it. I'm done with multitasking. I had to share out the post, so now everybody on my feed knows we're live too. So now I can be back and focused 100% present with you. I'm here. Let's do this.
And now I get 100% Zagorsky. What was so funny about this is when I was on the show, when I had Mike on, you hadn't even made the announcement yet.
No.
And we've got like 20 people watching live, and Mike Bjorkman says, and Jesse Zagorsky's already transferred over as well. And I'm like, I didn't even know. I was like, what?
And the funny thing is, Mike Bjorkman is watching right now, who is definitely responsible for bringing me into the EXP fold. And so he's the one who spilled the beans. I didn't really tell anyone my launch plan and my thoughts, and we'll talk more about that I know later. But it's funny, forgetting about EXP, when you have something that you want to tell the world, but one of your friends tells the world for you, that's the world we live in today. That's social media, right?
Yeah.
There are no.
I'm always that person too that they don't let me in on the surprise party until like 5 minutes before, because they know that I'm going to tell everybody. I'm not good with that kind of stuff. So Bjorkman, I feel you, brother. So you've had quite the history in real estate.
Thank
you. You are the co-founder of DS Pros, which is the national REO networking group. A bunch of guys who saw the trends coming in real estate, and you guys got out ahead of it. You worked together, and together everyone accomplishes more. And you guys were able to accomplish a lot on a national level because you saw that trend coming. That's one of the most interesting stories that I've ever heard, alongside your story of working at MTV too. Driving out, like, I'm going to work for MTV. Where do we start, Jesse Zagorsky? How far? Do we take it back to the way back?
We can go to the way back, but people might just have to go find that podcast episode where you and I went. If they want to know the whole illustrious history, they could learn about working at MTV, how I manifested that job while standing on the street corner of Times Square playing my guitar. We could tell that quick story. We could talk about living in Thailand, how I ended up taking a year off real estate, 2013, 2014, and still having a real estate business. Or we could talk fast forward to that, default servicing professionals, that REO network. Where do you want to start? You want to start at the top?
Let's, for the sake of it being a real estate show and it being a Monday morning and us being 5 minutes in, let's not take it back to the way back. Let's take it back to you deciding to leave a music career and get into real estate. And you were one of those guys. You were doing well. You had a paying job. You were involved in the industry, but you made that transition into real estate. What made you decide to do? And your mom was in real estate.
My mom was. That's really what happened. And probably like a lot of people watching, I didn't grow up, except for Mike Bjorkman. He's one of the few people I know who, from a very young age, was like, I'm going to dominate the real estate industry. Most other people who are real estate agents or brokers, I feel like you talk to them and they pretty much just think, I just woke up one morning and I was a real estate agent and I had no idea how I even got here. If I looked at the last year of my life, I'm not sure how this happened. For me, my mom had been working. My parents were always serial entrepreneurs. And so when I was trying to be a rock star, I say trying because I didn't succeed. I went from trying to be a rock star, but I was working at MTV, had a legitimate job in marketing, got paid well, worked in Times Square, and I was moving back to San Diego. And so my mom they sold their previous business. She'd been working as an agent for about 2 years on her own. My mom is a rock star in her own right. She's 72 years old, still runs marathons. She closed.
Here's the mom.
There you go. She closed over 40 deals in real estate. Her first year in real estate by herself. no assistant, no nothing.
Damn.
Yeah, she was crushing it, and she was like, "Hey, you should try out this real estate thing. I think you'll like it." And I love my mom. I trust her. So that was it. That was my whole story. And I dove into coaching programs. I did Craig Proctor coaching, Tom Ferry coaching. I soaked in it. I had a degree in economics. I went to Berkeley, have a degree in economics, but that didn't do anything for me in real estate. I dove into what you want to talk about that?
Interesting. So
Yeah.
I love having a degree in economics and like going into that rich dad, poor dad philosophy of
Right.
like, yeah, being extraordinarily educated, but not necessarily having the understanding of money. And what's so interesting about these last 10 years is that the education has been more available than it has ever been. You
Right.
are a massive coaching advocate. You got started early with coaching, unlike me, who stumbled through the first year and a half, trying to figure it out on my own. You left Berkeley with a
Yep.
degree in economics. You
Yep.
you weren't fresh off the streets. You get into real estate. And you started getting into coaching.
Right,
What
so-
sort of things did they teach you that you didn't learn at Berkeley?
So Berkeley was fun. Berkeley and economics was a framework with how to view the world, but there was nothing hands-on and applicable to how to run a business. And even my friends who had business majors didn't still learn the direct hands-on things. So Craig Proctor coaching was great at first. I learned direct response marketing. Direct response marketing is all about calls to action, crafting campaigns, messages, things like that. From there, I went on to Tom Ferry coaching, where I learned a little more holistic approach to how to run a business. From there, I went on to my coaching organization I'm now a part of, which is by Michael Hellickson, Club Wealth, which is nothing against Craig, nothing against Tom. Those are great organizations, but I got a lot more out of Club Wealth because I'd hit the point in my career where I wanted a coach that looked for like my entire business as a whole and how to run it like a business. So I took little pieces from each of these education, and the family and crew that now exists in Club Wealth really kind of puts it all together for me. It's a phenomenal group. And so coaching, you don't need to go to college, dude, to be a successful real estate agent. You only need to graduate high school because it helps get your license faster in California. Other than that, you can learn everything you need to learn online for free. And if you pay someone to coach you, you'll just fast track it. That's it.
Okay. So, and that's exactly it. Like for the first time, like I was one of those guys that I loved watching Matt Damon being like, I learned everything for $1.75 in late fees at the local library that you spent all this money to get a degree on. Right now, you can learn everything on YouTube. You can learn it through mentors at EXP. You can learn it through coaching. You don't have to go into all this debt.
Right.
For college. And this is coming from a guy at Berkeley, or a guy with a degree from Berkeley who's telling you, you don't have to set yourself behind in that way.
You don't. And the difference between coaching versus self-taught, because I'm a huge proponent of coaching, because even though the knowledge is out there, there's so much knowledge. It's like drinking from a fire hose. You really need someone to understand your goals and your situation who will help you break it down to figure out, the expression, how do you eat an elephant one bite at a time? It's the coach will help you figure out where do you bite first, where do you bite second. That's
a good point, brother. It's a good point. I'm one of those guys that I take knowledge through, through the fire hose, and I do I lock myself down. I read for hours every day, just bringing stuff in, and it's not all rich dad, poor dad. Some of it's geek stuff, but I like to read, and I like to study. And so Michael Hellickson, Club Wealth definitely opened up a lot of doors and a lot of opportunities for me, and a lot of ways of thinking that were up until that point closed. So so you get into coaching, you learn the stuff about real estate, and then you start seeing a shift in the market. How did you know REO was coming? Why did you act on it?
So that actually came from the coaching company I was part of previously, who had said, hey, REO is coming. My coach at the time was Luigi Caprio. Do you know Luigi Caprio? So Luigi, who is also a coach currently for Club Wealth, Luigi, who was my business coach at the time, he used to coach for Tom Ferry. He said, hey, REO's coming. You should get into it. And I said, nah, sounds terrible. Sounds crappy. And he said, we're going to hook you up with an account, which was IndyMac. It was our very first account. And he's like, let me just connect you up with them, see what you think. It'll be kind of interesting. And once I realized I got the account and I realized what was going on with the market, this is 2007. We were overheating in Southern California. And I looked at, without getting too deep, because that's a history lesson on how our economy and market collapsed.
History is important.
Okay.
History is so important. And so many of us, we're not students of history. And so we don't pay attention to things like this, because this shift, you have to study it. So what was happening, brother?
All right. So here's the 2-minute history lesson. because I read a book while I was living in Thailand. When I had a lot of free time, I read like the way you read. In my real life now, I can't do it. I read a 350-page book called The History of Real Estate and Banking in the US. I don't know if you can find it anywhere. I carried this physical book to Thailand. It was like this ridiculously thick hardcover book. And my wife mocked me. Like, why are you bringing this super nerdy, analytical, heavy
That
book
sounds like the least sexy book that I've
Thailand?
ever heard of.
Like, we basically brought, I'll give you a copy of it. So I read this book and it made sense with everything I knew from my economic background, which is in every market shift, the first thing that happens is a loosening of credit standards. So what was happening in 2005 to 2007? Zero income really, but stated income, no doc loans. If you're in real estate less than 5 years, go Google that so you know what I'm talking about. Stated income, no doc loans. As you loosen credit standards, which means it's easier and easier to get a loan, you're basically starting to summarize this entire book. You're kind of starting to build a house of cards. That's really his whole theory he illustrated how this works in much deeper analytical ways over the last 200 years. The same cycle repeats itself. So what are we happening right now with loans, right?
It is easier and easier to get loans. It is easier and easier to get different types of loans. And there are different programs in different ways, and there's always a way around it. And we've all been watching this happen for the last couple of years. And just now are we starting to see these people who bought a house 2 years ago because they did it on dreams and whistles and purples and purple unicorns, like trying to hold it together. They overextended themselves, and now we're getting calls from people that bought 2 years ago that are thinking about short selling.
Right. And so I'm not in this podcast this morning projecting a collapse immediately. I'm not one of those people, because I actually believe that we haven't seen credit standards loosen enough to bring about the next collapse yet. I think we're still 3 to 4 years off before we see this, because it's just starting.
Thank you, Jesse Zagorsky. I keep telling people, I said, like, people keep freaking out about everything. I'm like, listen, developers are still developing. New builders are still building.
Yep.
People who know a lot more about economics and a lot more about money than you or I are spending money right now. And when you look at the way that the economy is going, things look good for another 3 or 4 years. At least it could keep going. So a lot of money is going to change hands.
So you know why you're hearing, though, that the market's overheating and it's stalling? One, it sells media. Like tragedy and drama sells advertising dollars. But two, the one thing I learned from getting a degree in economics, and you might want to write this down if you're watching, even a broken clock is right twice a day. Okay, think about it. If the clock is stuck right here, twice a day, that thing is going to be right. So economists, if they say the same thing enough times for long enough, guess what? At some point, they're going to be right. The economy is going to collapse. Economy is going to collapse.
It's the historic toilet paper shortage.
Yeah.
You know, they were talking about how there was a toilet paper shortage. Everybody in the United States went out and bought toilet paper and created an artificial toilet paper shortage.
Right.
This American history. We do it. We freak out. But
we do. So economists say there's going to be a collapse. There's going to be a collapse. And guess what? When the economy finally does collapse, they pat themselves on the back and they say, hey, look, I was right. So it's just like, of course you were right. If you say for 10 years in a row the economy is going to collapse, it's cyclical. At some point it will.
Now, that being said, we see these things. We see these shifts, and we see what happens, and we see changes. And one of the things that we've been watching, and we're officially past the we all need toilet paper. We absolutely do need toilet paper. One of the things that we're seeing, and listen, I just want to open this up, and I want to take it out wide. Tech has entirely shifted everything.
Yes.
I was at Blockbuster when Netflix was developed, and I was thinking, this isn't going to happen. Their entire catalog sucks. There's nothing good about Netflix. People want to go in and they want to scan the category, or they want to scan the catalog. And I didn't think it was going to happen. Right. But I slowly watched, or it wasn't even slow, it was quick. Next thing you know, we're offering like year passes for $9.99, and we're like taking massive hits. And it all happened very quickly. Now it's a bank. Right. So tech is shifting the world. It's shifting this country. What do you see happening with tech in this country?
So can I take this to the brokerage model at this point?
You absolutely can.
All right, because let's talk about the brokerage model, because there's two things in real estate that I think tech will shift. And our industry is ripe for a disruption on two levels. We have consumer-facing disruption, which is more like the Zillows and the iBuyer, right? That model is going to shift consumer, which there's a lot of big players that are trying to figure out how that disruption will happen, but there's too much money on the table for that not to occur. The other shift, and that's a whole separate show. The other shift that I'm paying attention to is the shift in the brokerage side of the model. And we have these brokerages that are trying to figure out their value proposition. Where do they exist and how do they fit into the world with the home smarts and the flat fee companies that have started to eat away the traditional model. And now we have EXP that is also a player in this technology-based disruption. And so when you look at this disruption, I was looking at my brokerage because you had mentioned in the intro, I'm a brokerage owner. I've been an independent boutique brokerage owner for the last 15 years. My mom and I are business partners. We were part of Remax, years and years ago. I hung a license with Sotheby's once upon a time for a hot minute, just because I wanted some of that Sotheby's juice until I realized the juice wasn't as sweet as I thought. Sorry, Sotheby's agents. And not sorry. And then after that, I realized, look, I'm going to build this value proposition. And I've always created my own team. My brokerage has mainly been my team. And I've kind of ended up having other agents in my brokerage that came by osmosis. They either joined my team and left, and I stayed in the brokerage for a while, or because they just saw me and they liked what I was doing, they want to be a part of it. And so for the rest of the brokerage, I just had them all on 90-10 splits. And frankly, I didn't make that much money off it, but I didn't really offer much value in terms of anything other than be connected to Jesse, which I never thought of it in those terms, but I had always thought about how do we create this value model of, like, maybe I want to start a brokerage and charge 70-30 splits, right? Where I get 30%, and the agents get 70, and I just offer all this value and I try to compete against the home smarts.
Yes.
In this day and age, the amount of value that you have to offer, I think, is an insurmountable, like, unicorn. It doesn't exist. As we start to shift the EXPs of the world, which is really one, it's EXP, right? Or a flat fee model. Those were pretty much the only two I think that are going to pretty much dominate and take over. There's no amount of value a 70-30 split shop can even offer at this point to compete long term.
I agree. They can't. They don't have the ability. They don't have the tech. They're not big enough. And I agree. It's going EXP and it's going flat fee. The puppy mill stuff is kind of over. But I was of the same mindset. I was like, how many people can I help? But what you're doing is you're trying to duplicate yourself. You're trying to duplicate your energy. You're trying to pass it on to people, because I know, and you know, that if you were able to duplicate 4 Jesse Zagorskis, you would have the best brokerage in Southern California.
And let me say this to a few, if there's any of my brokerage owner friends that are watching this, if you have created this really small, very special, very amazing core model, you can still illustrate your value and get higher splits. And you will be able, I do think there'll be a niche for these people to remain, for the small group of agents that are looking for that loving family. I won't name them by name. There are a few good brokers that exist out there that have created.
The cap is low enough to where you can still get away. You can still, if you're paying a $16,000 cap and you have people underneath you paying an $8,000 cap, if you're doing the half cap model, you're running a team like I'm assuming you are, they still are getting the options. They're still getting the stock options. They're still getting everything else. But the thing is you still have the opportunity, because that cap is so low that you can have them on a split and incentivize that mentorship.
Right. Well, I was actually saying outside of the EXP world, I think there's a handful of small brokerage owners that will still manage to survive this disruption we think is coming. The problem is it's not scalable, right? You want to have your little pocket. That's why I switched to EXP. That's why I got excited, was because now it's not just like duplicate Jesse. It's Jesse's everywhere. And I can connect myself to people around the world instantly, and I have no overhead. I have no liability. And now it's like the board from Star Trek.
The biggest thing with everything that I've turned on the studying wheels and I've started looking, and Kate has been making me listen to things about EXP, because I'm like, listen, I get it. I don't need anything else. But their big thing is scalability, because you no longer, it is not this world anymore. Can you build out an epic brokerage and sell it? It's not going to happen for 99.9% of us. No longer can you build out an epic team and sell it. It's not that world anymore. And no longer can you build out an epic book of business with all of your clients and sell it. So what you have to look is scalability and ownership, which is really what EXP does. Is it gives you the scalability. It gives you that national reach. And I'm sorry, you look like you're going to talk. Hit me.
No, I was just saying you could give away your book of business, but you're not going to sell it. Like, really, Those days are done. If you want someone, you're retiring, you want someone to take over your clients, great. Someone will take over on it. Maybe they'll pay you a small residual on the back end, but you ain't selling your team anymore. It's not going to happen.
That's right. It doesn't happen. It's not like there's 3 big team leaders in all of Southern California anymore. Somebody could leave the Serpa team and go to the Nelson team and be just fine. You know, they're going to be okay.
Right. And that's why I started getting excited about EXP, because I'm assuming we want to talk a little bit about why did I, as a brokerage owner, why the heck did I switch? And it was exactly that. It was the fact that I realized if I wanted to grow my brokerage in San Diego and make this really high level, the value I wanted to offer, it was going to not only take time and cost a heck of a lot more money than I wanted to invest in the infrastructure. Now I can do the same thing, only it's scalable across the country. Anyone that I have influence and connection with, which is a pretty big network because we're all connected online like this, right? Now I can find like-minded people and we can all grow together across the country. No overhead, no liability. As a brokerage owner, we all become brokerage owners. It lights me up. I get goosebumps thinking about it.
Everybody literally gets the same opportunity. That's one of the big reasons why I never signed up with a lot of these big Realogy companies is they would come in and they would offer me a deal that they weren't willing to offer anyone else in the office. Or they would offer me a deal as a team lead that they weren't willing to offer my team. And a lot of the flat fee companies are the same way. They're like, this is what I will do so that you will come here and then I'll recruit everybody around you and then put them on terrible splits. But with EXP, as an agent, you literally have the same exact opportunities as a broker that has been in this for 10 years. You just have to earn it.
Right. And so we won't turn this into a commercial for EXP. Don't worry, guys watching this. I'm just pumped about it and I like talking about it because I had a conversation this morning. You want to? Yeah. Can I tell you about the conversation this morning?
Please.
It's with a really good friend of mine who I will not name his name because I know when to name and when not. But, you know, I don't know if he's really considering EXP. I think he's in the early stages of being aware of like, what's this EXP thing? He's with Keller Williams, which we should talk about because EXP is going to decimate Keller Williams. Sorry, Keller Williams Market Center owners, but you're in trouble. Anyway, and I can talk about why I believe that. So he's with Keller Williams and he's been there for about 5 years and he has a very successful team. He's probably going to gross net, probably like, I'm not even going to say. He's going to net over $500,000. Like, dude's a baller, right? Yeah. And he's got a decent sized team and we're talking. And he said, well, here, Jesse, EXP is great for you because you're such an influencer, right? People love you. And I'm humble. I'm like, okay, thank you. But really, I get what he's saying. I spend a lot of time connecting and I love people and talking. So he said, it's not for me, it's for you because you're so good at it. What I realized as soon as we hung up the phone was I started thinking, the way EXP is set up, it's actually incentivized that when I bring him on, that I'm incentivized to help him grow. So all he has to do is introduce me to people, and then I use my influence and charm. Above me, Brent Conley, Mike Bjorkman, David Golden, all these guys who are phenomenally like charismatic and brilliant and thought out. Mike Bjorkman sold a 600-person HomeSmart to get into EXP, right? There's all these ways you can show there are legitimate business people who are exiting their current structure to get into EXP. Maybe you should consider there's something here, right? Yeah. So I can talk to him later, which I probably will. I'll send him a link.
This is what I tell people. I say, people look at it like, oh, it's good for you at the I'm like, no. This is incentivized leadership. Right. Like, I am telling you right now that you have me, 6 other people above me, and a whole bunch of people wide that all want to see you succeed and will be genuinely happy for you when you succeed. Right. It's not like these other things where it's like, oh no, the pie's not big enough. Like, you have people in other areas. You think that something that is working in Florida or North Carolina, do you think that it might work in your market? Sure. Absolutely. It's national minds getting together for a national influence and then being able to make that work in your local market and then also have influence in other markets, which you can't do as a local broker owner. You can't do it.
This is the new world. And we talked about the Netflix to Blockbuster. There's a few EXP videos floating around that, frankly, I was really resistant to EXP for about 6 months, right? Truth be told, David Golden.
I was too.
Okay, good. So I was telling him to take your multi-level BS and kick rocks. Like, really, I was like, stop talking to me about it, dude. And finally, I started coming around, and we can talk about what actually there were some pretty specific things that brought me around to it. But as I started coming around to it, the first video when I watched, David got excited and sent me this video, was talking about like, it's the Netflix to Blockbuster. And I'm like, dude, you're being dramatic. And then over time, I finally started realizing it's not necessarily the exact model of Netflix to Blockbuster, but it's disruption at that level. That's what the person was talking about. And it took me 6 months because I'm a little slow sometimes to figure that out. That's okay. Right now, I'm like, oh, I get it. This is the new model of the new world. As forgetting about EXP, just the model of the world in general, we have an increasingly connected society, a global consciousness, so to speak, because of the freedom of information and what just exists in the world with Facebook and the internet. To get really esoteric here, this is where the world has gone. This is where we have become. And once the genie is out of the bottle, there is no going back. You can't go back holding on to these things. I mean, I'm reading this thread that we had a really interesting discussion on how do we compete with Zillow as real estate agents, right? Should we go back to making sure that no one has access to our listings except for realtors? I love that idea. However, the genie's out of the bottle. It's going to be so impossible to change, I believe, the global consciousness that information should be free, right?
I agree 100%. And it's one of those, like, it's so exciting. It's an exciting time. It is the most exciting time throughout history to be alive because of the global connection, because of the global consciousness. I'm super, super into it because it's like me, David Serpa, who grew up in freaking Pollock Pines, California. I was in a situation that because of the global connection, I was able to bring on the number 2 agent in the world at one point.
Yep.
Into this organization where he's going to benefit, I'm going to benefit, everyone around us is going to benefit, and everyone in my downline who comes on and just is around him by proxy is going to be better.
Right. So I was just going to say, we can talk all esoteric about global connection, but let's be honest about human nature. People are always looking for what's in it for them. I know at my core, it's really hard to dissociate with what's in it for me. So the good news is about this global shift is we have the opportunity to capitalize on it, to make money because of it, and set up a passive income stream with financial freedom, as well as still selling houses and other amazing things. But for me, that's what got me excited was I'm always looking for trends. You talked about REO, right? Once I saw the writing on the wall and realized REO not only was a way to do business that I loved, because I got to travel around the country and make friends for a living, and those friends sent me business. Not only that, because I still keep in touch with those friends, but I saw the shift, and I always want to figure out how do I, for me, capitalize on the shift. Now there's a new shift, and I want to capitalize on it. My dad always told me, he told me if you've heard this one, if there's a tidal wave coming, you can either be on the wave or you can be crushed by it. You ever heard that?
I heard that one.
My dad is a very smart man, a little pessimistic, he probably would, but no, I'm kidding. Because he was trying to scare the crap out of me because we live by the beach, stay away from the water. No, but really, his whole point was if you see a trend, you either get in front of it or it's going to wipe you out, right? Yeah. And with EXP, the other thing he always told me was when you have front runners who are the early adopters, he didn't use that term, but because I was a little kid when he explained this, he would said the first person in is usually the one who gets the arrows in their hat, right? If you think about the back to the civilization days, you got the first person to ride up to the Native Americans, and they're the ones who get shot with the arrows in their hat. And the people who came in after were the ones that would be able to have the nice, easy civilization and culture. So with EXP, I believe we are just passing the early adopter where the early on people got the arrows in the hat, and we're going to transition, right? You got the arrows, you got them. We're right on the cusp. But it's the people who get in now are early enough that you still can financially benefit. However, it's transitioning to a more mainstream acceptance. You're going to see this shift. It's next 6 months. Just watch.
I agree. Because the thing is several years ago, everybody was throwing mud at KW, and everybody and look at what happened, and look at what they were able to accomplish. So
I still hate myself for that, by the way. For not joining KW. So 6-ish, whenever they came into San Diego, they were not a known commodity here. 2007, whenever they came into San Diego, and they recruited everyone heavily, and I said, I'm not interested, I'm independent, and stay away from me with your downline BS. I didn't want it. It was an arrogance. Had nothing to do with anything logical. It was just a purely I didn't like the concept of it. It felt wrong because they were very aggressive about it. And so what I did was I stayed away. Fast forward 10, 15 years, KW is one of the top name recognition companies in San Diego currently. I lost a listing recently to a seller who said they ended up hiring a company that had more clout. And that was my fault for not handling that objection. We can talk about that separately. That was a whole separate story. But she said she hired a Keller Williams agent because they had clout. So I'm actually stepping up by moving my company from independent to EXP, that now when I sit with a seller, I can explain to them, I think this is a huge thing. Look, I've been an independent brokerage for 15 years. I can do things that other companies can't or won't. However, by now being powered by EXP, this is the fastest growing national company that has the most amazing technology and marketing reach. I can do things that no one else can. Can
That's
you see?
right.
Can you see?
Just sitting down and telling people, I'm with the fastest growing brokerage in history.
Right.
We are on the tech forefront of everything.
Right.
I don't have the big office overhead. I don't have a nosy broker, which means that I get to do the things that I want to do, which I believe are right for you and your house, in your in your family. But hey, brother, we're getting a lot of comments, and what I want to do is I want to jump on these comments.
I just saw that. Let's jump on those because Ken Cross is asking advice.
I just want to jump straight into KW versus EXP.
Okay, and can we answer? And can we answer? Let's make sure. Craig Richardson asked a great question, and Ken Cross.
Yeah, I'm going to jump there.
We're going to get to both those. Let's talk KW versus EXP, and then we'll answer both those guys' questions.
Let's do it. Let's do it here really quick. Ivy, good morning. David, guess we're going public. Yep, that was everyone's talking about when Zagorsky got announced by Bjorkman on the show last week. I'm excited to hear what this Jesse Zagorsky guy has to say.
If you're going through all the ones, they're way at the bottom. The ones you're looking for, they just came in.
Okay, so I have a degree in economics from UConn or from UC2. Glad we didn't get our master's too. Real estate is way better.
Further down, you got. I'm looking at the live feed. So you want me to read it out loud? What Craig Richardson asked?
Nope. I got it. No college needed. Read Serpa's book, Think and Grow Rich. Read The Machine Gunner's Guide to Real Estate. We all need toilet paper. Remember, people are artificially manufacturing fear to sell you crap. What are you being sold? Warren Buffett, be fearful when others are greedy and greedy when others are fearful. Yes. Epic. People are feeling it. I love this question right here. Hey, Jesse and David, how do we use this excitement about EXP to connect with agents we know and want to share with, but not be overbearing? How do you share about EXP because you see the opportunity? That's a great question. Jesse, you want to take it?
Yes, I would love to. So I've actually been part of a number of coaching calls over the last month with a number of EXP agents talking about exactly this. It's exactly what I disliked about the early days of KW, because you sent all these people out into the world to go recruit who had zero training and did it what I consider the wrong way. There's a difference between a pull energy and a push energy, Craig. Pull is very attractive. You're drawing people to you. Push is what some EXP agents, I'll acknowledge it, there are absolutely EXP agents that are being so excited they're ending up pushing people away. That's okay. You're going to find the people that connect with you. However, what you're really looking for is you want to create a scenario that's going to pull people to you. And the best way to do that, Craig, is to share your story. So you're not selling them on EXP. You're talking about what is your journey in real estate? And you can boil this down to about 30 seconds. What is your journey in real estate? How did you get where you are? And what prompted you to start considering other options and looking at EXP? Once you tell your story, you're opening up a space where you ask them, how's it going for you? You ask them, what's their needs? Where are they looking at? Ask them if they've heard of EXP. What do you know about EXP? And then the best way to do it that we have found in our organization is if you personally try to recruit someone, you absolutely end up pushing, because even if you say you're not attached to the outcome, you are. So if you tell them, it's a simple script. If you want to write this down, Craig, you say, look, I know enough about EXP to be dangerous, but there's actually someone else that knows a ton more than me. Why don't you do this? I'm going to send you a link to a video. It's 28 minutes. What I want you to do is watch this video and just write down any questions you have and write down 3 things that were interesting to you in the video. And then I'll set up a time. We'll spend no more than 30 minutes. We'll do a video conference with my business partner, who will then go and answer any of your questions, no hard sell, and we'll just see if there's anything else that we can explain to you about EXP. Does that sound
most of what I'm getting from people right now is I'm getting the phone call that's like, hey, listen, I don't want to be sold on EXP. I just want the information. You seem like you're a straightforward guy. Will you talk to me and just kind of tell me the truth? And the thing is that's one of the reasons why I was so turned off from EXP.
Yes.
Is the like, look at my yacht. I was in Haiti. I spent all of spring abroad. And I'm like, listen, I'm a humanitarian. I'm somebody that this is going to free me up so that I could do my work effectively as the president of VA Rep, so that I could continue to volunteer with camis and canines, so that I could fight human trafficking with certain ministries. There are other things in my life that are more important to me than real estate. And one of them is diversifying. And another one is being an excellent dad. So like, don't think about, and this is when people watch that wealth chart video and they see this dude and he's just like, and it's no offense, but he's like, my goal is 500 agents. For most of us, I'm like, 500 agents? You must be out of your freaking mind. I'm not even interested. And at that moment, I'm turning this crap off. But then when you start looking at it and people, this is too good to be true, forget about it, or I don't want to attract agents. 95% of this company doesn't recruit. They don't attract agents. Only 5% participate in doing this. But this is the reason why. I'm not doing it for a yacht or anything like that. I'm doing it because I'm letting people know about this opportunity. I'm talking to people who want to know about it. And then when I tell them, and I'm just telling them the truth, I'm saying, listen, just understand what you know that you're saying no to. And then what I've recently started doing is I've started sending out letters of interest. I did this yesterday. I did my first round. And I just said, hey, I plan on sending out about 20. I ended up doing a little bit more than that. But I said, hey, you know what? I've got a great deal of respect for you and your business. I think that EXP would be great for you and your family for the following reasons, because it's going to free you up. Here's some reading that I did, the 4-hour work week, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, etc., that helped me make this decision. I'd be happy to talk to you if you have a moment.
Yeah. It's you have to set up a situation where people know there's no pressure. It's no different than a buyer appointment or a seller appointment. And I'll give you guys a tip that's going to help outside of EXP. Those of you who want actionable items while watching this thing, there's only 2 reasons why someone will not do business with you in any scenario. And they either don't see the value or they feel threatened. It's one or the other. And I don't mean physically threatened, but David Serpa, think for a second, see if you can come up with anything that doesn't fall into one of those categories. Because when I say threatened, I don't mean physically. I mean they feel trapped, obligated, or forced.
People are feeling like they're talking to me about their brokers, and these wonderful brokers sound more like mafia dons than good people at the end of the day. People are terrified. And I also know that when you look at my sphere and the people that I'm rolling with, it could be a little bit threatening for you to be like, oh, well, I'm not Jesse Zagorsky, or I'm not Darren Campbell, or I'm not a Club Wealth guy. I don't know if I could keep up. But the thing is I have active duty Marines, active duty Navy that are joining EXP because they see the opportunity to create wealth for themselves before they get out of before they get out.
But here's the thing, and this is what I truly believe. I can teach anyone how to attract people to EXP because you don't have to do anything other than open up a conversation for someone like me or someone like Mike Bjorkman, David Golden, like David Serpa, to have that conversation. And then you still get the credit for bringing them in. When I say you open up the conversation, we're not stealing your people. We're helping to help you bring people in. And it's beautiful. So all you need to do.
Campbell has told all of his people, he says, give me 10 phone numbers and I will make the phone calls for you.
Right. And so, sorry, so we got Ken Cross because I want to see, because Ken wrote another. Go ahead.
So, this is one of those things with EXP that people are like going around shopping sponsors. Like, who has the most attractive upline? And I can tell you this right now, whoever you join with, I will welcome you with open arms into the 52 crew and mastermind with you and be a part of your success because I want you to be successful. My advice on picking your sponsor is this: pick the person that helped you make you move to EXP. If somebody made a half ASS phone call to you 4 months ago and said, hey, have you heard about EXP? And then you were never going to make the move to EXP, but then you got a hold of somebody who is absolutely 100% passionate about it and you're making the move because of that person, choose that person. If you got a call from somebody over the course of several months, but then you decided to upgrade your sponsorship by choosing a better upline, you're really being a rotten bastard to that person who told you about EXP and tried to bring you over gradually.
Okay, so you and I differ slightly on that, right? So because here's my point. You're fighting against human nature, which is what's in it for me. The person who upgraded their sponsor, who quote unquote upgraded their sponsor, the reason they did that is because they weren't feeling the value from the person who originally introduced them. So what I would say though is before you if someone's been trying to get you into EXP and then you go shopping them and you find someone who's a better offer, have the integrity to have a conversation with the person who originally introduced you and discuss it with them. That's what I would say. Because my goal is really, I want to bring people into EXP, but I want the people I bring in to find the upline that is the right fit for them, right?
That's interesting.
So I believe
really interesting.
And I believe it's my responsibility to illustrate value and to connect with someone deeply enough that, and I'm not talking about like going buying them and doing things. I'm talking about this organization. if you think about it from an abundance standpoint, we have currently 16,000 agents across the country, roughly, right?
Yeah.
In EXP. Keller Williams has 140,000 agents roughly across the country. There are 1.2 million agents roughly across the country. There are plenty of agents for everybody. Okay.
So you're saying, hey, work with who the hell you want to work with, be a part of the organization that you want to be a part of, because you're basically choosing the brokerage that you want to work with.
Yeah, absolutely. There's no loyalty. It's about value. And so if I've talked to someone for 6 months and they come in, and because look, I can explain this in detail, but really, if I've talked
I love it. Hit me with it, man. I'm always open to having my mind changed.
All right. I've talked to someone for 6 months about joining EXP. First of all, if they haven't joined, there's a reason why they haven't. Okay.
That's
maybe
absolutely freaking right.
Or maybe it wasn't their time. But if it's not their time, I can't do anything about that. But if I haven't illustrated enough value, that's on me. Sometimes you need a second person to kind of bring it in and see, they offer different value. And so if they join this other organization, so can I name the other people in San Diego doing heavy recruiting here? Do you not want me to name them?
Yeah, go for it. Go for it.
So Kyle Whistle is a good buddy of mine. He's a totally separate downline in the organization. They are heavily recruiting and calling people, and they're hardcore going into it. If I down the road have talked to someone for a while and they end up saying, you know what, I'm going with Kyle because he's a baller. I mean, we've got ballers too that are on the same level, but in their perception, they think he's a baller. That's my fault for not addressing that and figuring out this person's needs and connecting with them. And if they join Kyle, if they go to Kyle without even talking to me, first of all, that's a lack of integrity, I feel like, and I don't really want that person in my organization anyway. That's why I say, for integrity's sake, if you have a relationship with someone, discuss it. Hey, I'm thinking about going to Kyle because, frankly, they offer blah, blah, blah. Do you guys have any structure set up like that? What do you have? I'm like, oh, well, we do the same sort of things. Think about it like a listing appointment, David. If you went into a listing, okay, and they were interviewing 3 other agents, and you'd been talking to this listing for 6 months prior, right? Every week you talk to him. Every week you talk to him. You show up, you get to that appointment, and you walk out of that first meeting without a signed listing contract. Whose fault is that?
Sure. Accountability, bro. Massive accountability.
And so if the next agent that comes in is a better closer than you, right? Are they doing it to you?
Well, this is the other thing. I work with people who are good in the ways in which I lack. I am not the hard closer. At the end of the day, I'm the person who's going to present the case, and then I'm like, whenever you think about maybe joining EXP, I'll be here. But then you get somebody like David Golden on the phone who will talk to you, and he will hammer it out until you're ready to say yes or no. He has that mentality. I don't have it.
But guess what?
Says, go for it. You want to close that out?
I want to jump in because David is a closer, and guess what? He is in your upline, so you don't need to close. You just have to send him over to David, and he will hammer it out for you if that's what the person.
I have the soft, delicate conversation with somebody. I talk to them exactly about what it looks like, and then I pass them off to David, and David will do the things that make me uncomfortable, that give me anxiety.
So you're a hip hop fan.
I'm a massive hip hop fan.
Kanye West, the song "Big Brother." Do you know the lyrics to that song?
No, I don't like Kanye West.
Oh, man. All right, so there's a line that David Golden and I always talk about because I've been business partners with David for almost 10 years now. David's style, and this is a quote from Big Brother, David's style is more like a slam dunk, and I'm like a finger roll in terms of basketball, right? That's the difference. You are more like a finger roll. You go up to the hoop, boop, drop it in, right? Whereas David's more of a slam dunk. It's going to resonate differently with each person, but because of the way EXP is structured, you get to benefit from all of that across the way.
David was the most helpful person around. I'm putting it up. So Ken Crotch said, I want to give team members a path to independence where I can get some benefit and time and energy spent training them. Yes. Brother, that's one of the biggest things about EXP is it gives you an opportunity because if you get a great agent, Ken Crotch, they're not going to be around forever. They're going to want their own ownership opportunities. They're going to want to step out. They're going to want to leave you. With EXP, they don't have to leave you. They can leave your team. You still have their downline. You still have them. You still have their downline's downline. And so you take it, brother.
Yeah. And do you know Ken Crotch at all, by the way?
I know Ken Crotch, homie. We're Club Wealth homies.
All right, just checking. So I know Ken Crotch personally. So Ken, hit me up offline. I will, to answer your question of how do you choose a sponsor, I have some direct thoughts for you personally, Ken.
But after you talk to Jesse, definitely talk to me because, you've been watching the show. I'm just playing Jesse. Take it.
No, but I'm not saying that because I want to close Ken. I'm saying it because I actually do have some thoughts as to what would be a good fit for Ken in structure, and it may not be me, right? That's okay with me. I think that Ken, it's a fit for him with EXP, period, right? I'm an even more
I
soft
agree. I agree. In fact, it's one of those things where like I'm talking to people and I'm like, listen, I'm trying to bring everybody in my letter of interest. I named you. I named Bob Hellman. I named Mike Bjorkman. And I said, if you don't want to talk to me and you don't want me to make a dime off of you or anything that happens with you, I just genuinely believe like this is the best opportunity for you and your family.
Yeah.
Here's a couple of other people to contact other than me, but I'd love to talk to you.
Yep. And really, I mean, EXP is the most massive FOMO that's out there.
Mm-hmm.
Fear of missing out. And when you start seeing other people going, you're like, that's why I finally started opening myself up to it, because I was like, I think I'm missing this. I think I'm missing that.
We're going to do the sexiest thing that has been done in a while. We're going to have the guts to go ahead and do this compare and contrast thing because we're two guys with big enough brains to go ahead and do it. You talked about EXP versus KW, and you threw a good amount of mud as somebody who's never, you never went to KW. You said EXP is going to decimate KW.
Yes. I've gone on record saying it. Why? Because of the way EXP's structure is close enough to KW's models, but every single data point is better for EXP. The only thing EXP is lacking is a physical office space, right? Mm-hmm. And the way that I know from KW, because I have friends who own market centers, there's many EXP owners that, by the way, have sold multiple market centers in order to get an EXP.
Got a few of them in my upline.
If you have 600 agents in a KW market center, by the way, if you don't know KW lingo, market center is an office, a branch office. Yep. So if there's 600 agents in a KW market center, at most 10% of them come into the office on a regular basis, at most. Mm-hmm. And so when you look at those numbers, the other 550 people in that office or 540 people are feeling like they have this warm, fuzzy benefit. Like, I could totally go to the office if I want to. It's there. It's great. When you look at the upside value proposition, first of all, I have some ideas on how to solve that physical culture piece. Brent Conley and I here in San Diego are actually working on a way to solve it. And we can talk to other people like, we're going to solve this EXP physical culture piece. However, even without that, there's enough upside at EXP. The caps are better at EXP across the board. So financially, it's right there. If you're a KW agent, for me, I was an independent broker. It was a little more of a thought like, I'm going from not having zero splits to paying a split. If your cap is in San Diego, $22,000 or $26,000, and you're going to drop down to $16,000 cap overnight, you just made an extra $10K with doing nothing. Right there, splits are better. And then the upline potential being revenue share, profit share. We can talk about that. Huge difference for anyone who's interested in the recruiting portion.
You know what's hilarious is one of the big pieces of pushback that I get from KW agents who call me, by the way, because like we've talked about before, I don't recruit, but they call me and then they say, well, I don't like the stock. The stock isn't good. And I'm like, how much stock do you own in KW? Okay, so then don't worry about the stock. Let's not even talk about that for a second. Let's talk about revenue share, because the revenue share is unlike anything out there known to real estate. It is night and day. And it took me 3 months of being with EXP to sit down and understand exactly what it was. And then I designed the club or the wealth attraction game, which looks a lot like a scratch or a lottery ticket, but it breaks it down. I explained it in 8 minutes. People aren't understanding it. They don't get it.
Dude, I say this in the most humble way possible, but I'm a fairly intelligent person, right? Yeah. I'm analytical. I'm educated. Not that that matters, like we've said, but it took me a very long time to wrap my brain around this. Okay.
And I was with this company for 3 months, and I didn't understand it.
And I think part of the reason is because there's a barrier in our minds to believability, because we're so used to scams and people thinking this is a house of cards and this is all made up. There's a barrier to the actual math, which frankly is complicated. I had a roommate in college who was a math major who did lots of math with letters and like numbers that even disappeared. He was that high in his PhD. And I'm sure he could understand this, but to me, I just have a mindset. I don't know why I couldn't get the math in it. And then finally, once it started clicking and I realized, for example, my team, let's use my team as an example, not EXP, my actual sales team. I presented this to them on Friday. It was the first time I presented EXP. We had talked about it in advance. I let them watch the video to warm them up. And no one quit over this, by the way. Guys, if you have teams and you're watching this, talk to me. I'll tell you how I presented it.
I had over 20 agents quit my team when I moved brokerages. I'm not going to name any names, but there were a lot more people resistant to that model than were resistant to EXP. Take it.
So no one quit my team over this. And I realized later, I wrote something up that I can send you the write-up, but if you're on a team, a sales agent on a team, instead of having a $16,000 cap, you have a $8,000 cap. All you need to do is influence 3 people to join EXP, and you've now covered that completely. That was the simple math that I realized. And they don't have to, because I have a couple agents on my team who are like, I don't want to recruit. I just want to sell houses. Awesome. You don't have to recruit at all. All you have to do is literally, when you are in the course of the next 12 months, when you go to anything real estate related, which they do, they go to caravans, they go to networking, and someone happens to see that, or you're in a transaction and they happen to see that you're EXP, guaranteed, you don't even have to ask them. They are going to ask you, because it has that much momentum right now. They're going to say, tell me about EXP.
Literally, it's like a giant snowball rolling down the hill, and you just have to run up and get attached to the side of it, and then allow yourself to have a couple of conversations.
But the conversation then is this. Here's the script. I'm going to say it again, because in case you missed it earlier on, you have to say it if you don't want to recruit, when someone comes to you and says, hey, you're part of EXP, your team's in EXP, tell me about that. And you say, what do you know about EXP? And you listen to what they say, and then you say, tell you what, I know enough about EXP to be dangerous, but why don't I have you talk to someone who really knows a bunch about it? No sales pitch, no pressure, just to answer your questions. Are you open to that?
That's right.
And then that's why, back to picking your sponsor, you have to make sure your sponsor in your downline is in the same alignment with you. Because if you have a jerk-off sponsor who's going to put a lot of hard pressure, you're not going to want to send anyone to that person because it feels wrong, right? But if you have a sponsor like you or me, where you know that you can send someone and we're truly going to educate them with our heart in the right place, that we want to find the best fit for them, then it's very easy for my team to go, yeah, just go talk to Jesse.
100%, brother, 100%. I like, and the thing is, people who are talking about expansions and like, well, you know what KW did, and well, now they've got expansions. I'm like, yeah, but you're reacting at this point. You're reacting. You're not out ahead of it. And so, like, mega expansions from EXP, it makes sense. But for me, what I'm telling people is 15 to 20 people would absolutely change your life.
Right. How quickly can you cue up the song "My Heart Will Go On"?
It might take a minute.
Yeah, okay, so, everybody go look up that song later. It's the main song from the movie Titanic. It's the theme song. And I'm referencing it because you have a very, very large ship called Keller Williams. And I'm sorry, I keep harping on them, but I really think of all the companies to target, because there's other ones. But like, the model of EXP is so similar to Keller Williams, only so much better, that they can't, we got it? Yeah. You can't steer the ship quickly enough. And so you've got this massive ship, and I hope they can get out of the way. Keep the music on. I hope they can get out of the way, because the water's cold and there's icebergs, right? But in case they can't, at least we have life jackets and lifeboats, that when that ship starts to sink, there'll be these lifeboats floating by called EXP. So you could either own one of the lifeboats, or you could be someone who's desperately trying to jump on it later, right? That's my opinion of where EXP is. Oh,
Jesse! Jesse! Jack, Rose! Jack and Rose. Okay, so, and I keep telling people keep talking to me about how they're like, yeah, but I own this and it's getting ready to be profitable. And I keep telling people, you own a piece of the Titanic. You know that you've hit an iceberg. There's water coming in, and you're worried about how much the metal is worth.
So David Golden just typed in. He said, "I'll never let go, Jesse." David Golden, I will never let go of you either. Don't worry. So can we reference Gene Frederick, because he's in your upline also, right?
Yep. Let's talk about Gene. Gene
Frederick sold 12 Keller Williams offices, as well as an entire territory of KW. Mm-hmm. Because he saw the writing on the wall. So he was profitable. He owned Silicon Valley, and there's a video where if he talks much slower than we do in a much more grounded way. And I love Gene. I've never met him, but I do love what I've seen. You and me are a little more like, yeah. But if you want to get some grounded facts, go watch a Gene Frederick video, and he will explain why he sold that. Because even though he was making money, thank you. He has it on the screen right there. Iceberg dead ahead. Like. Right. He got off the ship because he saw the writing on the wall. And Gene Frederick is a brilliant, brilliant dude. And he's connected to all of us. So there you go. Craig Richardson is asking, which video do you guys recommend sharing? Do you have a favorite video? Because I do these days.
Hit me with it.
It's the new RE.com.
That's what I've been sending out too. So it's the new re.com. David Golden, if you're watching, or if somebody can link that in the comments, it is a 26-minute video, which, oh my God, for those of you with ADHD, or those of you with like a little, I'm like, 26 minutes, you can go fly a freaking kite. I'd rather not. I don't care how good it is. I'm not watching a 26-minute YouTube video.
So can I tell you the scripting I use when I position the video? Because
what's that?
Because I'm pretty ADD, and I had trouble. I couldn't even watch that video the first time David sent it to me, even though it's good. I couldn't watch it. However, the way I present it to people, because I assume everyone else has ADD like me, and most of them don't. I say, look, here's this thing. It's a 27-minute video, and it's a little bit like an instructional video on how to assemble a barbecue grill, right? It's packed full of information, and you really want to get the barbecue assembled, and you're not going to figure it out without the video, but you just got to sit through and watch it, and I guarantee that 27 minutes will be worth it in the end. So just know that it's like an instructional video, and we'll write down any questions you have and write down 3 things that you thought were interesting in the video, and then we'll chat about it when we have that conversation afterwards.
It's one of those things where like, and I keep waiting for like, a Golden or a Julie, or people keep telling me that I got to do it. But the thing is I'm all over the place. You got to be smart to freaking do this.
Right.
Golden says that he's got a 7-minute video for you that he is now linked in the comments.
I've watched it. I've watched that 7-minute video. It's really good. It doesn't give all the facts to prepare someone to have an intelligent conversation about EXP. Because
what you have to do is you have to understand that it is your mother freaking career. Take 26 minutes and watch a boring video. And it is boring. And it's going to take a while. But take your notes. Have an exciting follow-up conversation afterwards with your David Goldens or your Jesse Zagorskis or myself. And the thing is, guys, it's 26 minutes. And I know I hate it too, but I literally had to lock myself down. I was like, I'm going to give myself an award after this video. And I'm going to take myself a nice big break afterwards, because I was so angry about having to sit down and watch a 26-minute video.
Do you want me to buy you a cookie? Is that what's going on?
I needed a cookie, man. It's rough. For most of your high D drivers, we don't want to do it. So we talked about KW versus EXP, and I want to go write down the flat fee versus EXP.
All right, let's do it. You want to start?
You said that is not you said you think it's going to come down to flat fee versus EXP.
Correct.
You said you don't think that anyone else is sustainable. How long do you think companies are going to be around, brother?
Okay, so let me clarify that statement. I do believe other brokerages will still exist. I just believe their market share will shift dramatically. And in terms of making money personally from EXP, I don't need a 50% market share of the 1.2 million agents in America to be profitable. I need 40. I don't have 40 fingers, sorry. But if I get my 40, which is, someone do the math, what's 40 out of 1.2 million? It's
40 out of 1.2 million. 40%?
It's 40%. No, I'm talking about 40 agents. Like, look, I'll do the math. 40 divided by 1.2 million. Hold on, I need my calculator. So I go 40 agents divided by 1.2 million. That is a 0.003%. Like literally like 0.0003% is market share. It's so infinitesimally small that it doesn't even. It's not worth doing the math, right? Mm-hmm. So that's why when we talk about will there be other brokerages that still exist? Yeah, they'll limp along. I don't think it's anything that they're going to like go away forever. However, I do think that there's going to be a shift. So flat fee versus EXP, let's jump into that.
Yeah.
Flat fee is appealing from a number of standpoints. I have friends that own flat fee brokerages. I have one of my upline sponsors, Mike Bjorkman, probably better suited to talk about this than me, given that he sold. HomeSmart is a flat fee broker. When I say flat fee, it means they charge you a couple $100 per transaction. That's it. Right. So Mike Bjorkman owned multiple HomeSmart flat fee brokerages and sold them and like they were making money, and he sold them to get into EXP. Right. Yep. And the reason for selling them had to do with he had a lot of lawsuits going on, not against him, but against his agents. And that was part of it, was like, didn't want the headache and liability, but also because of the profit model. So flat fee, if you're a broker owner, can be okay if you make money off auxiliary things. But as an agent, if we're talking to agents about why would you do a flat fee versus EXP? Go ahead, David. You want to jump in?
No, but that's exactly it. These flat fee brokers, they're not making money off of the brokerage. Like the joke is you're broke as a broker if you're running a flat fee company. And so they're not making money.
They make money off escrow, lending, affiliate services, title depending on your legality in your state and how you set it up. But all my friends and I have a number of friends who own flat fee brokerages. Very few of them make money on the actual agent count. It's always on auxiliary services, and you can make a decent amount of money. But again, it's a tough business to scale with a lot of overhead costs and not as much upside. EXP allows anyone to become a broker with zero risk, zero overhead, and zero liability.
Anyone has the same opportunity. The Mike Bjorkmans, the David Serpas. If you're an active duty Navy vet, like my buddy Steven, you are walking in to the same opportunity as everybody else. Right. It's very appealing from an entrepreneurial standpoint.
And so that's from a brokerage owner, but from I lost my live feed, so I'm trying to find it on my phone again when I went to my calculator. Anyway, from an agent standpoint, if you're an agent as to why do I think flat fee versus EXP will exist, there will be agents that no matter how much we try to expose them to the potential upside of EXP, they're just going to be like you and I were for a while. They're going to be closed off, and they may never come around, and that's okay. And so those agents who just want their broker to get the heck out of the way and have low splits, it's still flat fee is attractive to them. However, the more and more people that come to EXP as this snowball you eloquently described gets bigger and bigger, those people are going to start to come around in droves. And by that point in time, it's going to be too late for them to capitalize on the income the same way we are.
That's exactly right. Every area is only so big. And not everybody's going to have the national influence of a Jesse Zagorsky or myself or Mike Bjorkman. But the thing is every market in my area, there are 4,500 realtors. There are 4,500. And if you get over, when everybody makes the move, it's October, November, December. Right. That's where we are right now. Everyone is getting fat for the holidays. Everyone is counting their losses for a down year. Everyone is explaining away their failures for the year. And a few of us that historically get rich or get set up for the following year hustle in October, November, and December.
That's it. And so, I mean, I think we've talked enough about flat fee versus EXP, but just to sum it up, there's never going to be a time when you will have missed the EXP opportunity and you can no longer make money. It just won't be as easy and you won't make as much because there's always going to be plenty of agents out there. Like I said, there will always be this market share. However, I really think now is the time. They say action gets rewards. Now is the time. And we're nowhere near missing the opportunity. However, the quicker you do it, the larger your rewards become.
Exactly. You're not going to kill your business if you don't come over now. But the thing is fortune favors the bold, and their REO opportunities were only REO opportunities for so long. And as somebody who is a national person when it comes to recognizing trends, who's done the reading, who's done the studying, who understands the way that it's looking, you're like, hey, listen. This is the chance now. Strike while the iron's hot. Yes, you'll still be able to benefit from the low cap, the no franchise fees, all that different crap, but you may not have the easy shot at revenue share that the rest of us are going to have.
Right. Well, let's put it in context of REO, right? I had people who joined, such as yourself, right? Let's use you as an example. You joined DS Pros, Default Servicing Professionals, at the tail end of REO, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
How was your experience getting REO accounts?
I have a total of 0 REO accounts. But I didn't do it, man. I missed it. But I want to set myself up for next time.
Right. And you could have done it. However, the things we talked about doing, you didn't do a lot of them because they were a lot of work. Like the stuff we used to do early on, it was a lot of work and there wasn't that much upside potential because there wasn't many REOs left. Right.
That's right.
However, early on, you would have done the same amount of work because if you knew early on that you made one connection, that you built that relationship, and instead of getting a single house to sell, they were going to send you 10, 20, or 60. I had one single asset manager send me 60 houses in a year, right? That was the upside potential of REO in 2008, 9, and 10.
That's right.
Anyone watching this, you want to get into REO, I will tell you exactly how to do it. I will tell you how to bust your butt, spend your money, and depending on where you live, you'll probably get very little return because there's not many REOs right now.
About all of it. You said, this is how you do it. This is how you get into REO. And I was like, that sounds exhausting. It sounds like there's very little reward for the cost. Right. And it's because I was at the tail end.
Right. And if you're in parts of the country, by the way, to take this into REO for a minute, if you're in the Eastern Seaboard, the Midwest, the South, there is always REO. And so if you are thinking of getting into REO, reach out to me. I'm happily to break it down for you. I have some videos or I'll talk to you one-on-one, or if you have REO experience and you want to expand that knowledge, talk to me or David about DS Pros. legitimately. However, if you're in California, especially Southern California, Inland Empire, where David is, in Riverside, Temecula has a little more, but San Diego, I got 14 REO listings right now, and that's amazing that I have that many. Like, it's just, there's not much REO. So this is how we tie it back to EXP.
Yep.
EXP is this, we're at 2007, 2008 of REO, right at the cusp. That's where we are with EXP. So you want to wait until 2028 to join EXP 10 years from now. There'll still be value. There'll still be a way to do it. You're just making your life a heck of a lot harder.
That's brilliant. That was brilliant. That was such a great comparison.
It's October, and that was my first good idea for the year, so I was due for one.
You made it. You got one in. So let's talk for a second about, and you and I both, and so I believe the market's shifting. And we've kind of talked about it a little bit. We've talked about how it's easier for people to buy. Interest rates are going up. What I ask everybody is, with a market shift, so first off, let's talk about what the shift looks like right now. And then what are you cutting and keeping in this market shift? So let's talk about the market right now and how it's shifting. What's different this year compared to last year?
And for anyone watching, by the way, I don't even know, do your shows have a format or a timeline? Like, how long is the show? This is a 24-hour broadcast.
About an hour and 15 minutes. So we're in the wrap-up portion.
I wanted people, just those of you watching, to know where they were in case any of my friends are watching this and they're like, how long are you guys talking? It's like PBS. This is a 24-hour telethon that we're not going to stop. No,
hey, it's one of those things when we've got consistently, we've had, 19, 20, 25 people watching. And this is one of those shows that's going to go over 1,000 views today, because people are going to go back and they're going to start it from the beginning on their drive home, or they're going to watch it during their lunch hour, because there's so much content here and there's so much good stuff.
As long as no one's watching it while they're in the bathroom, like I really believe, can we end the show talking a little bit about cell phone free time? So make a mental note of that. I want to talk about cell phone free time. No one watch the show while you're in the bathroom. I believe that should be personal space. Anyway, all right, moving on.
That's very interesting. I like it. We will definitely talk about it. I have band practice at 11 o'clock. That's why I'm looking like a hippie today.
I like it.
It's the new hippie thing, brother. We're changing the world with music. So
I took my suit off for you. Normally I have a suit when I do these sort of things. I'm like, it's casual. I better be like at least dressed down today. So let's talk about
down for me, Jesse Zagorsky. So the market is shifted. Yep. What are you cutting from your business in the cut of the market, or in the shift of the market?
I am aggressively and obsessively cutting anything without a return on investment. Number one. Right? Listings are going to start to sit longer unless you price them correctly, and even priced correctly as the market. We haven't hit it yet, but you might still see market time increasing. On your team side, if you run a team or you're a solo agent, you absolutely have to look at your numbers on what you spend and what's the return on that, and figure out, is your return on investment lower because your conversion sucks, right? Are you buying a lead source and you're doing a terrible job of working it? In which case, can you make the conversion better? Or is lead source that's just not good, and no matter what you do, it's not going to improve, and you need to get rid of it. That's part of, as this market shifts, when we make money hand over fist, you can spend willy-nilly. I don't even know what that looks like. Probably looks like hopping through a field with flowers and throwing money out everywhere, right? Only David Golden does that.
But you know what, brother? Like, that's very important. This was something that you were telling me to do. This is something that Hellickson was telling me to do. You were saying, track your ROI, run your numbers. Prepare for, you have to know your numbers, because you have to know what to cut when the market shifts. And I was at a point where I was spending $26,000 a month, and I was, I had all these expenses and all this overhead. And then, a couple of different things happened where I ended up shifting brokerages. We lost some agents. I had some issues. And what ended up happening was my entire business fell through, and I couldn't cut fast enough. Right. Adam Nelson has this story that he tells that in 2007, 2008, he was a big dog. He had moving trucks and all these different things. Everybody in the world knew who he was. And then the market shifted and he couldn't cut fast enough. Right. And so if you know your ROI, and he says, it's not how much you spend, it's how much you keep.
Right.
Know your ROI, know what you're spending, know how it's coming back, because then you'll know what to spend more of and what to cut when it shifts.
And so in the vein of that, a lot of things I research and study and do through trial and error is I buy a lot of leads. So those people who generate business by referral only, right? Your margins are great. They're less worried about a shift because their overhead is very low. My overhead, my percentage of spend, because I spend so much on purchasing leads, my margins are a lot smaller, but it's a lot more scalable. That's why I like the business model of buying leads.
You can track it.
So as our market shifts and you're seeing an increased a trend amongst all large lead providers, Realtor.com and Zillow being the two main proponents, an increase in lead cost per lead. Again, this comes back to if you track your ROI. I actually buy a lot of leads from Realtor.com, and I love those leads. However, as the market shifts, I'm going to be a lot more fanatical about which agents on my team get those leads, because they're the Glenn Gary leads. They're the best leads. They're the leads where you pick up the phone and someone's ready to go look at a house or write an offer. I've literally sold a $2.3 million house from a single phone call, a single showing from a Realtor.com lead. That's how good.
You are one of the few people, you're the only person that I have talked to on the show, because most people, they put Realtor.com on their cuts. They've been putting it on their cuts column.
Correct. So what I'm not cutting Realtor.com, because as long as you have agents, either you yourself or agents that know how to work it and you're getting an ROI, I'm going to keep it. What I'm not going to do is waste money on Realtor.com, giving them out to my agents who are not converting them well and thinking, oh, they'll pick up one here or there and it'll work. That's what's being reined in. So what I'm doing is, and I'm tracking them. And so accountability, tracking your ROI, and I'm diversifying my lead sources. So
let me ask you this. Have you checked out KV Core yet?
Yes. So I was going to get to that. So here we go. So I'm diversifying my lead sources, and I'm throwing into the mix lead sources that are cheaper cost per lead. So Realtor.com in my area averages about $100 per lead. It's pretty expensive. Zillow is about $300 per lead in San Diego, and Zillow claims themselves, they're not like trying to hide this. They said in San Diego, we believe lead costs are going to go to $900 per lead in the near future.
Damn!
So that's from Zillow Corporate, by the way. So in Zillow Corporate, if you're watching, you want to correct me, go ahead. But that was from someone who went to their last corporate powwow. So if you can make a return on a $900 lead, I'm all for it. And if your price points are higher enough, you can. However, if you diversify your sources and throw in some cheaper lead sources, pay-per-click, or using KV Core, which comes free with EXP, right? They will teach you how to generate leads for free. You can take your listings or any other listing you have permission to using the KV Core backend, click a couple buttons, and now you're getting leads coming in off of it. Those cheaper leads, they may not all be the same quality as a Realtor.com, because KV Core and PPC leads tend to generate people who are earlier down the buyer life cycle. Do you know what I mean when I say that?
We call those the 3-month leads, the 3 to 6 month leads.
They're more like 12 to 16 months leads, to be quite honest.
Really?
Like,
so,
heck yeah.
But here's the thing. You're not spending $300 for these. We had our lead gen systems when we're using landing pages down under $5 a lead. So there are also ways you can do it for free. You just take your landing page and you start farming that out there. It's absolutely freaking wild, the opportunities are available.
So even if it's a 12 to 16 month incubation period, and they won't all be like that, you're going to pop some that are 3 to 6 months. However, on average, a PPC lead is going to take significantly longer to close than a Realtor.com lead. That's okay, because it costs, instead of $100 a lead, it's under $10 a lead. And so you can get a lot more of them, and you put them into some sort of system. So I'm currently a Commissions Inc. user, but I'm talking to a new platform that I don't want to announce until a lot of my friends use it. It's not like it's a secret, but I want to wait till I actually get on board and just talk about them. But using Commissions Inc. right now.
Continue on with another platform. You're not going to just wholly adopt KV.
I'm not going to adopt KV because as a team leader, the version of KV Core that they give you doesn't really work for a team. You can't assign leads back and forth. It's not a structure. So to me, joining EXP as a team leader doesn't save me the cost on my platform, because I like to run my team a certain way, and I'm okay having my own software for that. I believe as a solo agent, KV Core is a much better benefit, because now you can get rid of your CRM. But if you have 10 agents and we kick them back and forth and we use a pond, have you had anyone in here talking about a pond model?
No.
So a pond model is where there's like communal leads that the whole team is working, as well as individual leads. You can't do that with the free version of KV Core they give you. You need a team platform.
Okay.
And that's okay. Yeah.
Interesting. Great content. Thanks for all the help. I look forward to connecting in the future. Keep up the good work. John Hart has no fees, very appealing to agents. I almost went there, but saw the value at EXP. There are people out there that are at brokerages where they're basically being paid to hang their license that are leaving and joining EXP. There are people that are making money hand over fist because they own franchises that are selling them or taking losses on them to come to EXP. So the thing is like this is one of those companies where I would pay money to be a part of this company. It's easy for me to advertise for it because in the past with these types of, with companies, I don't want to tell people about it. I'm not a big evangelist because I don't believe in it for everybody. This is one of those few companies where I believe in it for everybody.
There's no one that it doesn't fit. And we've done, I believe in this hour and 15, people have heard, I mean, if they're not believing the hype at this point, like talk to us one-on-one, because the value we put out in this thing.
This is what we're going to do. Let's wrap it.
Can I just talk about phone usage really quickly? Can you see this?
Huh?
So this is something that this is my public service announcement. This scared the crap out of me over the weekend. If you own an iPhone and you updated to the most recent iOS, they included a new feature, screen time. It's in the settings menu. So you click on screen time in your settings, and it shows you a report, which I'm going to pull up here. Let's see, iPhone report. Of course, it will do. Here we go, right here. Last 7 days. This is my screen usage report for the last 7 days. Do you see that?
Woo!
That's average per day, dude. That's 7 hours and 19 minutes of phone usage per day.
That's
okay.
Wild.
I looked at my phone, by the way. Let's see here. How many times did I pick it up? I picked up my phone 197 times in one day. I average 135 pickups of my phone. And the reason I'm talking about this is because my wife looked at it too. And so a lot of that legitimately is work. And we live our business in real estate on the phone. I get that. I'm not trying to get off that. However, your brain is not wired to do two things at once. Let's see. You got yours there? There we go. What do you got?
My screen's cracked. I'll hold it up here. Let's see.
3 hours and 37 minutes. So you're way lower than me. Awesome.
But I had an epiphany 2 weeks ago, because that was the first time that I saw it. Right. And my first week I was, 5.5 hours or whatnot per day. Yep. I was like, that's way too much. I'm not going to do that anymore. So
if you are someone who can just make that decision and do it, more power to you. Here's what I'm instituting, which I used to do all the time, and I'm going back to it. And I'm saying it on a live show that's going to be viewed by thousands of people, so I can have accountability for myself. 6 to 8 p.m. every night is a phone-free block of time. My phone goes in a drawer because I am not physically capable of looking at my cell phone without twitching and wanting to pick it up. Like literally, I see it and I have to check and see if there's a new notification. So if it goes in a drawer, I don't think about it. I know that before 6, people are thinking, but don't you have clients? Don't they want to know what's going on? Before 6 o'clock, well, they do know. You're shaking your head, but they do know. I just make sure I wrap up everything I need to do before 6 o'clock and let them know that everything's under control. And if there's anything that needs to happen, I will get back on the phone after 8 o'clock and handle whatever their issue is.
I did 150 plus transactions a year in back-to-back years while keeping my phone off from 6 to 8 and all day on Sunday.
There you go.
So this is the thing. When you develop that expectation with your clients, when you tell them, so listen, and when you meet them at the open house, when you meet them at the listing presentation, and it's a part of my digital listing presentation, it says, I turn off my phone every night from 6 to 8 and all day on Sunday to be with my family.
And people respect that because it is fit. That's exactly what I'm doing. It's because I have 2 kids. I have a 7-week-old and a 3-year-old and a wife that I love. And
that's right.
I cannot be present with my family if I'm also getting, I literally have, look at this, 214 notifications inbound per day on my phone. My phone is a third whiny little child vibrating and buzzing in my pocket. So I don't want to harp on this too much, but I wanted to raise awareness. There's a really good TED Talk that we could put a link to about how the phone and the ability to multitask that it creates actually lowers creativity and is killing our society. It's pretty amazing, this TED Talk. When I saw this, it started.
I think it's great. So that's one of the reasons I don't sleep very much. I sleep about 5 or 6 hours a night max. Yep. So that's one of the reasons why I do so much reading.
Yep.
I read a lot, and I listen to a lot of different kinds of music. You know that. Just this morning, I was listening to Mozart while I was reading, and then I made a transition to hip hop. And I'm just like, there's not a lot of people who are going to make that transition. But the thing is, like, I'm just kind of allowing my mind and my free space to be my free space. The most intelligent people, the most productive people in this country read 2 to 3 hours a day. When I read that Warren Buffett is reading 2 to 3 hours a day, what they're doing, Steve Jobs read 2 to 3 hours a day. What they're doing is they're making their brains. This is your computer.
Right.
You can program it. If you study history, if you study market trends, if you read enough about enough, you can get to a point to where when you're making decisions, you don't have to consult everybody around you because you are so well read and you are so educated and you know enough about enough to where you are able to make these split-second decisions. You're able to make these, you're able to see trends and capitalize on them. There's a reason why the readers, the students, the studiers, the national connected minds are choosing EXP.
Yeah, I love it. Is there anything else we got to do? Because that was my PSA.
That's it. That was a great show. I appreciate you. Normally, I just
pat on our back.
2 or 3 people watching, but we still have 15 people watching. It was a lot of fun, brother.
Dude, well, I'm not. I mean, I knew that we had good people watching the whole time, and I know that anyone who watches this recording later to the end, those are really the people that are going deep with us. That's why I wanted to end with that, because it's something near and dear to my heart. This was super fun. Pat on our back, right? Pat on our back. I think this was entertaining, engaging, enlightening. I learned a lot this morning. Thank you so much, David Serpa. I really, truly appreciate it.
Brother, thank you. Thank you guys for watching. I know it's a Monday morning. I appreciate you guys having us on in the background of whatever you had going on.
It's a Monday morning?
It's Monday morning. You made me question myself there for a moment.
Let's go do this. It's Monday. We're on fire. Come on. Let's do this.
If you are thinking about reaching out, talking about EXP, and you would like to work with this guy, Jesse Zagorsky is a very easy dude to get a hold of. Don't be a stranger.
Or that dude, David Serpa, right? The same
or David Serpa.
Yeah.
We're here to help. We appreciate you guys watching. Thank you guys so much. Feel free to bring it back. One more thing to give everyone the recap. We talked about REO. We talked about DS Pros. We talked about mindset. We talked about coaching. You went to school at Berkeley, got a degree in economics, but you told everybody avoid the cost of schooling, get into coaching, learn the things that you don't know by talking to the people that know them. We talked about the market shift and what happens when you loosen credit standards, and your big, long, boring book of the history of real estate that was 350 pages long. We said, find out what you don't know about real estate and make that decision, or about EXP, make that decision. We compared and contrasted KW with EXP and flat fee companies with EXP. And it was a ball and a biscuit.
Wow. How did we cover all of that in an hour 15? That's ridiculous, because really most of the time I spend playing with Play-Doh with my 3-year-old son. So I'm surprised I can even have that sort of intelligent conversation with you these days.
I appreciate you, Jesse Zagorsky. My brother.
Dr. That was super fun.
Congratulations on coming out today and joining EXP. Welcome to the family. You have a good rest of your day, my brother. Thank you guys for watching.
Bye, guys.